Good evening and welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of all things historical and science fiction gaming in and around the great city of Savannah, Georgia. I'm your host, Mike Baker the Gator, and we have with us our good buddy Randy. It's the Mike and Randy show, comes to you about every week, about Thursday or Friday, sometimes Saturday before I get it uploaded, but there you go. Uh, Before we get too deep into the show, you know the YouTube things. Give me a like. If you've not subscribed to the channel, you know you want to because we keep it interesting and share with your friends, share with your enemies. Hey, even share with your mother-in-law. There you go. Just share. All that helps grow the channel. There we go. If you got questions, comments, subjects you'd like to see us cover, drop those in the comment section below. I have not forgotten. One of our viewers actually asked how to mount 28 millimeter black powder guys 4 to a base, and I've actually done that, and I need to do a show on that. But hey, we listen, we really do, and you guys are all of what keeps the show interesting. Tonight we're going to be talking about Randy's proxy army at the Moxie Tournament in what we're calling the Moxie Proxy Army. So
Uh,
Randy, so tell us how we got to how we got to this point, Randy.
yeah, so this was an interesting weekend. So, I've got a couple tournaments coming up, and I had a Gurkha army all ready to go. Spent a few days,
Gurkhas.
yeah, trying to, I wanted to bring my Comet. So I had a few things I wanted to test out because, I've got our tournament coming up on the 28th, and I wanted to be, fine tuned for it. And
Right.
so, they were expecting a lot of players, 16 players. So they asked me to bring my jungle table. So I got up. Well, I had to work on the tower late that night, and I mean I was up till like 12 o'clock, which it always seems like every tournament I'm always doing something at 12 o'clock, getting ready
Amen.
for the tournament.
Right.
So I got the tower finished, and then I waited till the morning. I got up like 4:30, start loading stuff in the truck for the 3-hour drive.
Oh,
I put table, jungle table in. I got all my snacks. I got my rule book, my dice box, everything I needed. And I'm driving, heading over there, and I get almost there. And I was like, I wonder if my minis have gotten all shuffled because I usually leave them on the board. And so I turn around and I look, and I'm like, oh crap, my army's not in the truck. And I'm like, and so it was like, maybe it's hidden somewhere in there. Maybe I just stuffed it somewhere. But no, it's a big display board. I know it's not there. So I'm like, oh boy. Well, I'm going to have a dinner while I'm over here and go home. So I get there, and then John Ross is just getting out of his truck, and I was like,
say,
hey, John,
say it
you
right now.
haven't, huh?
The incomparable John Ross.
Incomparable John Ross. Uh, So yeah, and I was like, you wouldn't happen to have some extra miniatures I could borrow, try to put an army together. I forgot my army, and he gives me that look, and I was like, oh yeah, I did it. So he's like, yeah, I've got some Germans that I also brought with me. I'm like, cool, I'll take a look at them. So I looked at his army. He actually had an 1,100 point list, so it was a little low. And then he had some Ostropin and I think Filgamir or whatever they're called. They're um, the
Field
like the
Gendarmerie.
yeah, and they're like the police corps or
Yeah.
whatever. So I'm like, oh,
Oh,
that's terrible. So Patrick, the TO, he had an army, a German army. Well, he had some Americans that he loaned to one guy, and then he had a German list that he built that he was going to run if he needed to be the odd man, and it only had 12 order dice, and I was like, ooh. So John said, well, whichever list you want to run. I was like, well, how about if I mix them together? So I asked Patrick, I said, I need your infantry because he had just some here grenadiers. And so I shifted some points around and I had to drop a flamethrower team and I got a 1,250 point list together. And
nice.
yeah,
Nice. Very good. Oh,
yeah,
and hey, just a reminder in the new Armies of Great Britain book, that Challenger is going to be a little bit less expensive because the price on the 17 pounder is going down.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
all excited about that.
yeah.
So I think I don't know who I talked to about that, but you it's losing the 3-inch HE because it's got the crappy HE, but
Right.
I hardly ever fired the HE at infantry anyway. It's mostly a tank killer, vehicle
Yeah,
killer.
yeah,
So to be able to get it cheaper, yeah, I can't wait because I love my Comet.
right.
And
And I want to
unfortunately, with
say,
Gurkhas, those two things suck up so many points. It's hard to build a list with both of them in it.
right. I want to say both in Flames of War and in, of course, Squad Leader ASL,
I knew you'd
that
get
the
that in.
British. I have to get it in at least once a show. That the British, many of the British tanks cannot fire HE, and it's just no
Mm,
HE because they
wow.
didn't issue HE for some of their guns. The Matilda initially did not have HE for its gun. Now I think in bolt action it is treated as a light anti-tank gun, but historically it did not have an HE round.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's not a bad thing.
Well,
So
and that would make sense because you only got so much room for ammo. And if you
right,
don't have a really good HE round, why would you stock it into your tank and take up space that you need for anti-tank rounds or maybe
right.
smoke rounds, you know?
Well, I think in the wake of World War One, too, the Great War, there were some initial international agreements not to use high
Mm,
explosive tank rounds on infantry, and that lasted all of about 10 minutes into the first firefight. So,
yeah,
you know,
and I think the same thing goes for flamethrowers too. I think initially the Germany was the only one using flamethrowers, and then everybody else said, "Well, we got to start using it if they're going to do it."
that's right. Yeah, that was during the Great War, and then on into World War II, everybody had them.
Yeah.
And I think there was even a Geneva Convention even before World War II that said you couldn't use anti-aircraft guns against infantry. Well, that went out the window.
Oh wow.
Interesting, interesting real life story. When so the Bofors gun that everybody used in World War II. Well, I mean, the U.S. was still using Bofors up until Vietnam, and
Mm.
we had a Quad 40. Now you think that Quad
Oh
20
my
is dead?
God.
So what would a Quad 40 be? That'd be 4 heavy autocannon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So our guys were using them in Vietnam, and the UN said, "Oh, that's a violation." And so, us being the over good guys, they pulled them out. But yeah, the guys
Mm.
were using them to break up human wave assaults. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a thing. So there you go. All right, so here is what we're calling the Moxie Proxy Army because while Randy didn't have his trusty Americans, he was able to quote unquote proxy an army with the help of friends. And as one person's already said, guys, if you want to play, just find a group.
Just show up.
We'll put troops in your hands.
Yeah.
Randy's got 3 armies. I've got 3 armies. Even with our tournament coming up on the 28th, if you want to play, we'll put a 1250 point force together for you, and we'll put one together that's competitive. We won't say, okay, you get to have the trash haulers. No, we'll put you together a good list. And even if you don't play regular, you're going to find our players are very patient. Now, you still may well lose, but most of our players are pretty patient and pretty giving when it comes to new players. And your TOs, me, Randy, John, Patrick, we know who the new players are, and at least for the first round, we'll try and get you, to play with somebody who's at least willing to teach, so that by round
Yeah.
two, you at least got your feet a little more on the ground. So all that to be say that one thing this does illustrate is, man, one thing I love about the bolt action community is we are all about helping people have fun, and that's a huge win. It really
Yeah.
is. So we're opening up here with some engineers and some Panzer threes because you're going to find out these are a couple of key elements of this hard hitting army. And Randy, you took second, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Came in
Yeah,
second.
yeah. We'll talk about that after we get done flipping through this army. I know you did a review on your channel where you kind of talked about it at a high level.
Yeah.
Here we actually have the army list, and I can, if anybody wants to, hey, there it is. Hey,
Hey.
did you find out who made those trophies, and can you get us some for the 28th?
So yes and no.
Okay.
So Patrick, I've asked him. It's a friend of his, and
Right.
he said it's his file. So I I feel like because I've asked him a couple times that it's Moxie's thing, and they're not letting it go.
You know what? That is okay. Everybody
Yeah,
has to have
yeah,
something. I mean,
because it's
we had
really
our
cool. It's unique
yeah,
and it's cool.
yeah. We'll probably do our doubles tournament when we do our fall event again this year, and we're gonna have the Savannah Cup again.
Yeah.
and we're going to make that as part of our shtick. That hey, it's the Savannah Cup, and it'll be a couples tournament. So be watching for that. It's going to be fun. Poor Randy, I just caught him flat-footed on that. But yeah, I think that's I think every tournament likes to have its own shtick. So good on Moxie, man. They put on a good event. So here we go. Uh, Got to start off, of course, with your basic infantry.
Yeah.
And I cut that slide a little tight there. Here they are running for cover. Your ever fun, just basic German, I
Yeah.
don't want to say
So
GI, government issue.
so the one thing I wished I'd have done afterwards, although this seemed to work pretty well, was I had what 9-man infantry
Right.
with a light machine gun, kind of just a typical German infantry.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of wished I'd have made them smaller and veteran.
Okay.
Um,
Why?
well, I had one squad deleted from a 3-inch HE hit because it was regular. It
Okay.
got hit. It got hit by a big German tank, and it killed half the squad. And they had to take a morale check, and they failed it. I
Got
think
it.
if they'd have been veteran, I think they would have hung around. But
Yeah.
you know,
If they didn't get outright obliterated from the 3-inch HE. So yeah.
well, so the problem with bodies is the more bodies you have, the more bodies you can hit.
I saw something about that in the article. I don't know if you've read the article about infantry tactics, but yeah, they said, yeah,
Yeah,
you can run a 20-man squad, but that's going to be an awful hard thing to hide or put in cover. So
yeah,
yeah, okay. Fair point. We've talked about that. You got your favorite here, your single officer with a pistol,
yeah,
inexperienced. But you've said several times that you like the small officer groups because
yeah,
they're easier to hide.
yeah. They are, and they're just there for morale. So, and they're we'll go into a little bit later the snap to ability.
Okay,
So
excellent. One thing I gotta say is the new rules really do make your officers worth a whole lot more than they used to be. They
yeah,
they, they literally can they,
they
they
are
they can do
important.
what they're
They
supposed to. Yeah,
matter.
yeah, they can literally do what they did historically, and that is influence the flow of the battle, and that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. This so the company commander was absolutely key. I would have lost probably every game without him
Really?
because
Okay.
his morale bonus just kept everybody in the fight.
Nice.
It really did.
Nice.
I didn't
And even
fail a
though
single order test with him
that's
around.
awesome. And his radius is 12, right?
12 inches, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
And
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 I
he
kept him
also
on foot. He was on foot. I never put him in a vehicle.
okay.
Yeah,
Wow, that's not like you. Usually like to run them
and
around
he
in a half
didn't
track.
die either. He did, although
Okay.
they tried, but he didn't die.
He's like, I can't hit me. Can't touch this. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, and of course he benefits from that morale rule too.
Himself,
So
yeah,
even though
exactly.
he's inexperienced, morale level 9 with his what +4, so he's still 13 to start.
Well, he's 8. If he's inexperienced, he's 8.
He's 8.
Plus 4 is 12. Yeah,
Okay,
so
okay,
you're still at
okay.
12.
Right. Just I mean, he's like 9, not today.
I
So
mean, if you have a stack of pins on him, it might matter, but you'd really have
right.
to load him up for it to really
Yeah,
become an issue.
yeah, and you have of course, your the ever popular, ever fun.
Anti-tank
Ever,
rifle.
and
I
so yeah, tell us what kind of work you did with the ATR and the mortars.
so the light mortars are absolutely amazing. Yeah, I love them. Gosh, they you can ask John Ross about the light mortars. They were devastating. He had airborne guys, his German airborne, or not, Paraducci, the Italians, and chewed them up. I mean, I was just hitting them. I hit, oh gosh, several things and just wiped out in our game. I think they might have killed 2 units and then really just tore up one of his Paraducci squads.
Wow,
Kept
you,
them from getting across the board and scoring. They,
your ability to roll 5s and 6s with those darn mortars is just uncanny.
well, that and when you have so many, it becomes easier. So
Right.
I
Okay.
like to run 4.
Right.
when I can do it, because if you run 4 light mortars, you're getting a 6 every round.
You are,
You are.
not
It's
me.
just
Bad Dice
odds.
Baker
It's
would
just the
not. It would
odds.
be it would be 4 1s, I promise you. Done it. So wow. Well, great. That's again, a couple things we've seen in the new system is ATRs are main weapons, and so are light mortars, which is the light mortar definitely was right up through the war. ATR, again, it was phased out, but in this game it works, and it's a very very cost effective weapons unit to take. Good against light armor, and of course great for turning infantrymen into pink mist. Oh yeah, here's your
Yeah.
armor
So the
platoon.
armor. And so Daka Panzer, I really like this. 12 shots from a
Mhm.
tank is nice. It really
Yeah,
is. Um,
Dr. Panzer.
so yeah, one of the problems with this list, we'll go through all the armor first, and then
Okay,
we'll talk
okay,
about it.
all right.
So you got the drilling,
And
absolutely amazing.
I had
It
never heard of
really
that
is.
weapon.
Yeah, I have,
Uh,
unfortunately.
you
I
don't
played
haven't seen it
against
yet.
it. I played against it.
Wow,
A
yeah,
guy, what did the guy have? He had the one with the 4.
quad
Uh,
20s.
yeah, what is that called? It's on a truck though.
Huh.
And then he had the drilling. But the
Okay.
truck one is they call it a stationary platform. So the truck version with the 4 can only fire when it's stationary, whereas this
Okay.
one can move and shoot, which is huge.
Ooh. Yes. Yes. Wow. Okay.
I mean, I got point blank on some infantry with this, and
Oh, yeah.
I
And they
there was like 8 guys, and I hit all 8 guys, right?
and they
And
yeah, I
then
was gonna say they just disappeared.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. Wow. Here we go. And then you have yet another Panzer because
yep,
if one's
2 of
good,
those.
two's
Yeah.
better.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that was
So
key too. That was key.
yeah.
The 222. Not really big fan of it. I kind of
Right.
like the 250/9, but I think this might have actually helped me win the game round 2 because it
Okay.
was wheeled and recce.
Right.
I was able to put it in the middle of the board with pins, not caring whether they shot at it, knowing that I could just run it off the board if it got shot at,
Okay.
and
Let,
it scored 3
let
points
me
for me.
let me back up. I asked you this when we were looking through this list before. What is the difference between the CD and the EF? I'm not seeing anything.
I don't think there is.
Armor's the
Uh,
same, weapons are the same,
yeah, as far as
points are the same.
so as far as Warlord goes, the game itself, it's the same stats. It's just a later model of the tank.
Okay.
Why they even bother? They should just lump all 4 letters
That
together.
yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, even
Of
in
course, this
looking
is Easy Army,
right,
so yeah, it
and
might not be right in Warlord app.
even in looking at the different pictures, I did see 1-3 that looked really different, but it was a later model, I think. So okay,
I
I
think
like
maybe
it.
the turret's slightly different between the
Okay,
years,
huh?
but it's
Yeah,
still the same armament. So
got it, got it. I like
yeah,
the 222. I've gotten some good use out of it. It
my
certainly beats
ATR
no
likes
armor.
it.
Your ATR likes it. Yes, yes, it does. It doesn't like your ATR. Oh my gosh.
Speaking of winning a game with it,
Speaking of
Mike
lucky with
lost the game with
sixes,
it.
oh gosh. How many sixes in a row did you roll?
Oh my
4?
God, it was ungodly. It wasn't just the sixes; there was the whole sequence. It was like a 1 in 1,000th chance of
Yeah.
everything happening
And we
to win
just
that game.
I was just like, there's a reason they call me Bad Dice Baker. Just saying.
Uh,
Eh, whether my opponent's
your
rolling
bad
them or
dice,
I'm
it was
rolling them.
mine. Yeah,
Oh my
that's true.
gosh. Wow. Well, here we go.
Oh well,
Okay.
back to the so.
Yeah.
All right, so the 2 Panzers.
Yeah.
All right, so nothing in this list. There was no Panzerfaust. I had flamethrowers, and the only anti tank I had were these 2 uh, Panzer threes with the light anti-tank gun. And my first opponent has 5 dice. He has a veteran Panzer Ace Elephant, and he has a veteran King Tiger.
Good grief.
Well, from the front, this is not even going to annoy either of those 2 tanks.
No.
But I was able to get the 2 Panzer threes in a flanking position to the Tiger tank, the Tiger 2.
Yeah.
And because I had 17 dice, I got the first dice every round, so I just snapped both tanks and I fired them both, hitting on
Ooh.
threes. So I was able to just continually pin him down. And
Okay.
even if he shot back and activated, he's still hitting with a pin. And then I survived a couple of hits from the elephant on one of my panzers from way over on the other side of the board. Uh, yeah, that I think that helped me win that game.
That was lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, because what it
Wow.
is, it tied up that flank so that my engineers could outflank and get to his infantry that was behind it.
Yeah. And let's take a look at how those engineers were equipped. Of course, everybody knows when you're talking engineers, you're talking flamethrowers. Everybody's
Yeah,
not favorite.
yeah,
You got an officer with an SMG there.
yeah. Because the engineers, the main reason is they're going to jump out and what I did with him. All right, so the bonus with the Germans, engineers work much better with Germans than they do any other army, because
Really?
a regular lieutenant gets 3 orders. He can snap
That's
3.
right. Okay.
So basically, you have 2 Pioneer squads and a Hanamag with an officer. Okay,
Okay.
so I can snap the Hanamag, the officer, and both engineers all at once. So I get his order dice and I snap the other 3. So the half track moves up, it shoots, puts a pin out. He jumps out, he shoots, puts a pin out. Then the 2 engineer squads come out and shoot. And they've already got 2 pins before the flamethrowers ever hit them. They're going to fail their order test. Or if there's 2 units there, I can pin one, pin the other, jump out, shoot one, shoot the other. I kill 2 units at once. And
Wow.
it only works with Germans. It doesn't work with anybody else because they can't do that extra 3 orders.
You'd
I
have to
mean,
do it with an officer, right?
you could snap
Interesting.
the engineer squads, but you can't do the vehicle at the same time. So you're going to lose something. And
That's awesome. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was magic. It really was. So one thing I did do with them, and a couple guys are like, well, because we had prepared positions in 2 of the scenarios, and they were like, well, why are you putting them in reserve if you're in prepared positions? It's like, because I can come up 12 inches on either side, because that's the deployment zone edge, and I can pick either side. I don't have to commit myself to one side. I can come in the middle, and wherever I need to come in, I can come in and I can get there.
Because you're in standard reserve, you're not in
Mm-hmm.
flanking.
Plus, I come in
Nice.
turn 2 instead of turn 3.
Right.
So it's much more effective.
Wow. Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice. Good call. Good call. I know when we talked, in your show, you were like, the engineers really were. That we call this an infantry platoon, but the reality is it's really an engineer platoon supported by a rifle unit. In
exactly.
reality,
And
it's
tanks. And
yeah,
tanks.
and armor
And the tanks
support.
are
Yeah.
out there putting pins out too. So
Sure. With that much machine gun and cannon firepower, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, that's just excellent. And and then of course they were transported in the Hanomag, which will hold 12 guys. Which
Yep.
is so. What do? You put both pioneer teams in there and a leader, right?
You're right. And then
No,
the
they'll just fit.
so the field car got the one shot flamethrower team
Got it. Okay.
along with my other officer from the rifle platoon, so that he would be able to snap him. And also,
Okay.
you need that bonus for coming in off the table edge. So with the
Okay.
officer in the vehicle,
Right.
it's coming in. The Hanamag was regular,
Yeah.
so it's 9 down to 8, back up to 10 for his bonus. So you're pretty much guaranteed of getting it in when you need it.
Wow. And then you got the Hanomag to lay down firepower support too.
Yeah. The
Very
only thing I
cool.
Well, so you have to have the 12 man capacity. I'm going to say otherwise. I want to say the prototype holds 10, which 10
There's
is
the
not enough.
250, and I think it holds 8 or 10.
Yeah,
Because there's
so
there's the short one, the 250. I think it holds a little bit less.
yeah, it's nice to have the extra machine gun, but you wouldn't be able to put everybody in it, the two engineer
Mm,
squads and an officer if you do
right,
the prototype.
right.
So
Okay. Well, that's all our slides. And again, Randy, good job. I
yeah,
think I think what this illustrates, though, and it's part of the ongoing debate in the community. XYZ meta army is the winner, and is the and you're just even talking to John from when he went to um, the over in England. You didn't necessarily find any one army that was dominant, but you do find certain formulas that are dominant. For example, as much as I like machine guns, your list didn't have any. It had lights. It didn't have any heavies or mediums.
yeah,
And John said there were no heavies or mediums in any of the lists at all. And it was the World Team Championships. That's it. So
yeah,
there's still that big raging debate as to whether or not fixed machine guns are worth taking. And the general consensus right now seems to be, given the way the game's structured, no, they're not. Now we both know historically they were a huge part of every army's.
yeah.
Um,
I think they work if they're done right. It's like I've heard people say that it's not the list, it's the player. It's how you
yep,
play a unit. Just like the light mortars, a lot of people can't play them. It's just how you handle them, and they
right,
work excellent when they're done right.
yeah,
I think what people get tied up in list. Oh, this is a list that wins, and everybody's taking it. Well, so the good players build their list, and they use the things that they know will work the best for them. So
sure,
it seems like it's the list that's winning, but it's not. It's the
no,
players.
no,
Um,
and not just to toot your horn, for you. And I apologize if you hear my dogs out there. My wife just got home. Um, but just to toot your horn a little bit for you, the fact that you could take an off the shelf army, kit bash it together in 15 minutes, and come in second in a not a competitive tournament, speaks to your skill as a player,
oh
and goes back to what I've always said, that you know for any player out there, build your list. Build how you want to play. And obviously there's certain metas that seem to be dominant, but at the end of the day, player skill matters the most.
yeah.
And yeah, I think you amply illustrated that. Now, of course, your beloved Gurkhas told me that they were really disappointed that you left them on the shelf. They may or may
Yeah,
not do so
they,
well for you on the 28th, but
they were mad at me when I got home.
I don't know if I want the guys with the curies mad at me. That could be really bad.
uh,
So that's really funny. And
well,
I know we love to tease you about, Randy and his Gurkhas, but
yeah.
you really you illustrated that. You give Randy troops, and he'll make something happen.
Well, and the other thing is as far as engineers, I've never really run what they call a barbecue list.
Right.
I've run occasionally one flamethrower. Usually it's a wasp, and that usually works pretty well. But as far as like squads, um, never really done that. So, and I think one of the things that helped me quite a bit though is that knowing that I didn't have my army, I just said, okay, I was free. I was just going to have fun. Whatever happens, happens. And I played really loose, and I think that was key also in doing
Absolutely.
well. The other thing that was kind of ironic is I played John Ross the second round, and so I played his army against his army,
And you beat
uh,
him.
and I beat him.
Oh,
It
that's
was it
awesome.
was it was a close game. It
Of
was really
course,
close right
John's
to the
John's
end.
no slouch.
He's
Yeah.
he's a tough player. I mean, I
Yes.
enjoy playing him because I know
Yes.
it's going to be a good game every time.
Yeah. It's not only going to be good in terms of John's a good player technically, but he's a fantastic person. So I
And
know you had fun.
yeah,
Uh, and now this is your second Moxie tournament that you've gone to?
Oh, I've been to quite a few
Yeah,
actually.
they run
I
one about.
think
They do like we do. They run about one a quarter.
I went to one or two back in second edition.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. Good little community up there. Really proud of what they're doing. And I think there's even a couple of their folks that are going to come down to Savannah and see us in June. And we're really looking forward to that. And maybe one day I'll get my stuff together where I can actually go play in one of their tournaments. That would be a lot of fun just to show up and probably probably tournament competitive is probably going to be something based on my Fallschirmjägers because the German,
Mechanized Germans, I guess,
yeah,
right?
yeah, right. Panzer Grenadiers, yeah.
Yeah.
That just suits my mindset.
Yeah.
I don't like to get up close. I do like
Well,
the
and
halfbacks as
that's
IFPs.
and play style is a big thing too. You know, the army that fits your play style is what
Yeah,
you need to go with. Yeah.
yeah. So again, that probably goes back to some of my original exposures. Playing squad leader where machine guns for days, and so the Germans tended to
Mhm.
play range. Americans could play range. Americans could play range and movement. They're skin squad leader. Americans are just nasty. And then the Russians, they're just a horde. And I haven't tried a horde army. At the back of my mind, I would love one day to do either in
Mhm.
Flames of War or in Bolt Action to do a Russian cavalry force. I think that would be fun because tanks and horses working together just sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. Be
Yeah.
expensive as heck to build, but boy, it'd be fun. But
Yeah.
man, well,
So I've had people ask me like, what should I take in this army? You know, and I tell them build to your strength of your nation and
yep,
stay away from your weaknesses.
right,
So it's like with Germans, you want machine guns because they get that extra shot. So as
right.
many machine guns as you can pack in there.
Yep.
Americans, rifles.
Yep.
Load them up with rifles because they get extra shots. So back in version uh, 2, they got real fire maneuver, and that was huge because
Yes.
you know with the rifles they were moving and shooting without a penalty.
Yep.
Um, British, well, it used to be assault. Now it's kind of. I think the Air Observer is even going to change quite a bit. Uh, and then they had national rules characteristics, not rules but characteristics. So we've seen that they've changed the national rules,
Hmm.
but I'm hoping we still got those characteristics we can pick from to tailor the army to. We won't know until the book comes out, or they give
Well,
us another detailed brief.
we covered a few. I think not on our maybe on our last show or on the show before.
Yeah.
Go might want to reference that or
So
look in their archives. But there's a lot of the national rules that are coming across
right.
with them bifurcating the National British Army from all the rest of the Commonwealth armies. Um, they've kind of they've kind of split things out, but there's still a lot of the national rules there.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
with Great Britain's kind of different from most. Well, everybody has um, national rules,
yep,
every faction, but British were the only ones that had national characteristics.
mm,
So there was like stuff you could pick, like tough as boots and blood curdling charge, little quirky things that you could assign. You just had to pick from like one of I think 5 different things.
right, right.
Um,
Yeah,
and,
you never knew what British army you were going to be fighting.
exactly. So we know that they've added well they've really what they've done is they've added tough as boots as a national rule by giving
Right,
them fixed bayonets. What we don't know yet is are they still going to have those other characteristics they can pick from to tailor the
right.
force, or have they done away with that? So we just don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Which would be a shame because like vengeance is one that a lot of guys like to use to remove pins or blood curdling charge. Um, Although it seems like they're trying to get away from close combat. It's like they're trying to dumb it down to where you can't do it.
Huh. Hadn't thought about that. Well, I think
Yeah.
you may find what used to be national rules for the British Army in version 2. I think some of those are going to find their way into the Commonwealth troops, and with good
Mm.
reason. Where the Gurkhas or the Sikhs or the Chindits may have had that blood curdling charge. Hate to tell you, but The first yeomanry didn't,
Right.
but the first yeomanry were solid. They weren't going to break. They were going to put down good fire. They're going to hold the line. Uh, so there's going to be trade offs. What'll be real interesting is when you see these Commonwealth armies square off against the national armies and see how those give and go. That's going to be fun. You and I may have to do that as a battle report when armies of Great Britain drops, because we both have British troops. You've got,
Yeah.
of course, the Gurkhas, and I think the Chindits. I've got just standard Eighth Army with airborne support, so it'd be a great matchup, and we could really
Yeah.
kind of, and I can throw my Sherman and my M8 armored car unless I get off my rear, and well, I got the British armored car too, so I could put together an interesting armored force as well. So yeah, that'll be an interesting play against those two. So
Well, I've got like 40 paratroopers too, and honestly, from the latest email, I know we talked about last time, uh, we didn't know what there was going to be with the Gurkhas coming out.
yeah, yeah,
I may be switching to paratroopers. We'll just have to see.
right.
But so
I
I emailed
I
Warlord, and I got this response back from John Sherwood, which I don't even know who he is up there, but he's obviously answering all the emails for Warlord Games. And it says, "Yep, hi Randy, thank you for your patience. I have spoken to the rules team for you, and this is their response. The armies of Great Britain will supersede the main rule book when it releases for the relevant Get You By list. The Gurkhas are not going to be in the armies of Great Britain, so they won't be usable in tournaments and pickup games. And pickup games, really? Etc. But there is nothing stopping you from asking if you can use them against regular friends with their consent. So my thought on that is, uh, I would never play my Gurkhas against a friendly game because you're going to lose friends that way. Honestly,
Well, I've got a coffee cup that says if you're not playing a board game, if you're not willing to lose every friend you ever had over a board game, you're not playing hard
so
enough. That's pretty funny.
another lesson I learned with the Naval Observer. I think I brought it one time, and I about caused a riot by bringing
We
them.
about we about we about strung you up, yeah. And we were like, really, Randy? And I think you used it on some poor new guy, and it was like, Randy,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
was. It was
we
bad.
we
I
we
felt
want
really
we,
bad.
we want him to come back. You're blowing his
Did,
guys to pink mist. It
did
was
he come
bad.
back?
I don't know. This is why you got to,
Oh, that was
the
that kid, Japanese kid player, wasn't it? And he hasn't really played much. What was his
no,
name?
he hadn't, and you just obliterated him. It was awful. I was
Oh,
like,
damn.
yeah, me and Wayne were like, come on, Randy, you should know better.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Wayne
so the
really gave
whole
me hell about
well,
that.
Wayne's our conscience, man. He'll
Yeah, he
he'll
is.
he'll cut up for the best of us. But boy, if he thinks you're not being sportsmanlike, man, he will light you up.
Yeah,
So the whole thing. Again, the good part. Well, tip of the hat to Warlord for personally answering your question. I think that's really good. Um, I think speaking as a TO, um, nobody's going to tell me how to run my tournament. You
yeah,
know, um, and generally, I know in the old days, because I don't even remember anybody saying in version 2 the army book superseded. Now, of
yeah.
course, version 2 had its own problems because you had all these army lists that people wanted to
Theater
run
selectors.
right
Yeah.
from the theater selectors, and that turned into a real mishmash. And the theater selectors were sometimes a bit broken. I know Chris
Oh,
Hutchison
yeah.
used the Eastern Front Italian theater selector, and I'll tell you what, man, the Eastern Front Italians were not your bolt action Italians. They were a force to be reckoned with, but everybody was cool with it. Speaking as a TO myself, for one thing, we asked for a ruling. We got a ruling, and it means about as much as the rest of the rules in the book. If for some reason we want to set it aside, and honestly, as a TO, I probably will, um, then we can. I mean, we all know who was it. Well, Bo Mortensen has darn near come up with his own rewrite of the rules that he uses at his events, and
Commander's Compendium.
Commander's Compendium. And
Yeah.
so, I will say that at the end of the day, if you and your buddies are satisfied with the overarching rules you're using in your tournament or your campaign, then Warlord will have their promulgations, and that's fine. You might run into some issues if you were maybe playing something a little closer to Nottingham, but I can tell you, as far as I'm concerned, Savannah Garrison's tournaments will always be your choice: Army book or Army book or core rule book. One of the things I was just telling John Russell this. One of the things that makes Bolt Action and many of the Warlord games work, and it's one reason I'm constantly. It's one reason. It's one reason I was a fanboy for years before I was a retailer or a big promoter. Is all of the Warlord games in their core rules give you the ability to play the game right out the box, as opposed to and I'm just going to call some out. Games Workshop, you got to buy the rules, you got to buy an army book. Flames of War, you got to buy the rules, you got to buy a theater book. And I've never liked that model. I like the Warlord model, and I hope this isn't a hint of things to come, where we're expected to chase army books, because the reality is, there are going to be people that, as deep as they want to get, is the Bolt Action rule book, and they're going to want to play tournaments, and we're going to want them
Yeah.
to play tournaments. So, you know, glad you got a ruling, but I'll tell you, bring your Gurkhas on the 28th, have fun with them, because they're in the core rule book, and you're building. The key thing is, whatever you build your army list from, it's got to be consistent. You can't take, the officer rules from the core rule book and equip your officer with anything at the same price, and then take something from the Armies of book that's a benefit to you. And if folks want to see how Randy and I have kind of looked at that, take a look at our last video, where we do a comparison of the British Army list between the core rule book. No, it was the U.S. Army list
Yeah.
between the core rule book and the armies of the United States.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like I'm wanting to use a unit that's not in the main book, that
Right.
maybe was used in version 2. And it's like, I mean, this is a unit, not a nation. It's a unit
Right.
in the main book
Right.
that, you know, so, but, up till the 28th, I think we'll still be under the armies of Great Britain won't come out until the end of July. So there won't be anything contentious about that.
Right.
But I see going forward, guys will throw a fit if I show up with Gurkhas. So I'm probably just going to avoid because I'm there to have fun, and I'm just going to I'll figure out something else. Heck, I may start running the barbecue Germans. Hell, I don't know. They were pretty
I was
dang
gonna,
good.
I was gonna say, you'll find a different way to cause mischief and mayhem.
But so the other thing too is, I'm going to a tournament next weekend down in Ocala, called BOP Blitzkrieg,
Awesome.
and so their comp is 18 order dice, 1,250 points, max 4 platoons, and
Interesting.
max 2 flamethrowers, max 2 multi launchers.
Wow, they've really tightened it down.
So that would nerf the list I took this past weekend, because it
It,
had
it,
3.
it had 3. You'd have to swap that flamethrower team out for something
Yeah,
else, like, I don't know, maybe a light machine gun in one of your other squads or something, or a couple light
or a
machine guns.
Panzer Shrek.
Yeah,
Panzer Shrek would
there
be
you go.
nice in that. Yeah.
How do you like me now? Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to burn up? I'll just blow you up.
right, right. Because that's the thing too, is bazookas especially in version 3,
Oh,
are very good for digging people out of buildings.
okay. So
Like,
while we're
see ya.
talking about this is something good to cover. So let me grab my book here. While we're talking about flamethrowers,
Flammenwerfer,
so
yeah.
the the last not the last tournament, maybe the last big tournament I was at, a guy had a veteran Tiger, which is a
Okay,
10 armor,
right.
and the contention was that flamethrowers can't pin it because they're only a +2 penetration.
Okay,
One for the top, so that's 3,
Mm.
but the max you can roll is 9. So that means it would ignore pins from it. But that is not the case because it's clearly written in the rules. And I'm going to find it here real quick.
Good.
Do, 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 do. Vehicles. Where you got vehicles? I should have tagged this page. That's movement vehicles. There we go. Okay, page 132,
Right.
right column, second paragraph. It
Okay.
says, note that if a weapon/rule applies pin markers automatically or does not have a known pin value, then the pin markers are inflicted normally even on veteran vehicles.
Okay.
So they would not take the pin from the hit, but they would take the D3 pins from the flamethrower.
Right.
And thus it still has to make a morale check. And so before, veteran tank, command tank 10, it only fails on a foo bar. But now you can put 3 pins on it and
Mm-hmm.
it has to take a morale check. So it can be destroyed by a flamethrower. And
All right.
it's in the rules. I found it.
There you go. Good.
So
That's very good.
all you
Okay.
guys out there using flamethrowers thinking you can't hurt a veteran 10 armor, 11 armor tank, you can.
Time to do a little shake and bake.
Oh, shoot. So that engineer squad, it
Right.
jumps out, right? Well,
Yeah.
the other 2 things aren't going to pin it, but you get 2 flamethrowers hit it at one time.
It's up to 6 pins
They're
potentially.
yeah, up to 6 pins, and it's going to take 2 morale tests because it's 2 separate units attacking it. So it's got to pass one with D3 pins, and it'll have to pass the second one with 2 D3 pins.
And what happens if it fails? It surrenders?
So the crew bails out and runs for the hills, and the vehicle just burns to the ground.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. People don't like flame. Just not fun.
No,
Wow.
no.
Okay. Good. Hey,
I think we addressed that in the last episode about not wanting to be burnt alive.
yeah, if we have to make a choice, yeah, let's not be crispy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Well, Randy, again, thanks for going and representing. You represent Savannah, even though you don't live here, but you do represent us, and thank you.
yeah,
It sounds like you, as always, you went and had a good time with the guys at Moxie. You took your jungle fever, even though they didn't want it. They ended
yeah.
up not
Didn't even
using
get to
the jungle
set the
the whole thing.
table up. It's like, oh, we don't need it. I'm like, oh, really? You got to at least let me set it up. But that was good because I spent the trying to rush a list
Right.
together. I mean, I had a piece of paper. There was no time for easy army. I was just writing stuff down and
Yeah.
getting my points right. So
Yeah. Well, remember what our good friend Trish used to try and teach us. Things work out. So sounds
yeah,
like everything worked out for you. So that's really good. And again, congrats on the second place win. I mean, there might be some people that would poo-poo. Oh, you didn't make first. Well, there's three top slots, and I know Randy, you've had a bit of a dry spell too. So
yeah,
again, congrats and good job. And I look forward to hearing either watching your interview or doing an interview with you on the I guess the brown coat tournament that you're doing next weekend.
yeah.
So
So it's
yeah.
what do they call it? So I don't know what BOP stands for, but it's a Blitzkrieg. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah,
Well, cool. Well, let's do this then. We'll do another review of your army list because you're gonna take something different, I would assure, and we'll do another
yeah,
walkthrough and maybe give people some ideas. And again, folks, if you ever want to get a copy of the army list that we use here, more than happy to provide those. You can email us at Gator Games. GatorGamesWayX@gmail.com, or you can contact us through the Gator Games website, and I'm more than happy to send you a copy of that if you want to kind of pick through it and see, look under the hood. So again, Randy, great job. I think we'll make this one a wrap.
cool.
All right, night, folks.
Good night, everybody.